All right, my friends, how are you today? Aaron here talking about some honest insight. We've had the Olympic opening ceremony controversy come out over the past couple of days, and I've seen a lot of people talking about misrepresenting the Last Supper and that Christians, the idea that Christians are offended over the imagery that they saw. Now, if you've been following this channel years ago, 3 years ago, somewhere around there, I put out an astrology video called Leonardo da Vinci's The Last Supper. You'll find it somewhere here. I'll post it. So that video's out there. It's going to be a bit longer than this, more in depth, but we're just going to get right in here. The Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper, which I've got right here. Okay, this is an image. This isn't about Jesus and his 12 disciples. This is about the sun and the 12 signs of the zodiac. Okay, this is spring and summer and autumn and winter months. You know, four seasons, the four horses of the apocalypse. Then you have each of 4 months split into its 4 seasons split into its 3 months of 4 seasons. So we have Aries, and then we have Taurus and Gemini, and then we have Cancer and Leo and Virgo, and we have Libra and Scorpio and Sagittarius, then Capricorn and Aquarius and Pisces. And then the sun is in the middle, right? So Aries, the head of the table, the head of the zodiac, next to Taurus, which is putting its hands on the shoulders of the Cancer, the crab, and the Gemini. Gemini is showing its two hands here, the left and right duality. This is our left and right brain, so that's our first 3 signs of the zodiac. Then, of course, we have the emotional water sign, which emotions are hidden. Cancer, the crab, you see the one hand pointing at the lack of Adam's apple on Virgo, the virgin here. The other hand holding this little dagger, very deceitful emotional energy, right? Then next to emotional water Cancer, we have the Leo, so bold, putting his elbow onto the table, its little beard there, and reaching for food. The only one so bold enough to be reaching for food at this table, even before, quote unquote, the sun. Virgo, the virgin, the only female in the zodiac. Then, of course, we have the sun in the center, left hand up, right hand down. This is, again, just kind of duality, up and down. The alpha, the omega, again, the sun rises and falls every single day. Next to Virgo, the virgin, we have Libra, okay, the balancing scales of Libra. And of course, next to Libra, we have Scorpio, another hidden water sign. You see Scorpio's little singer here. And of course, the Sagittarius prophet is standing up and saying, it's me, I'm the prophet. I'm the one that talks about higher education, higher information. I'm the one that shares theology and all of the information around the world. And there's Gemini, there's our personal information. Then across the way, the parallel sign is Sagittarius, which is worldly information, worldly knowledge. And of course, when the sun hits the winter solstice and moves into Capricorn, well, that's, it's the spear in the Sagittarius centaur that pierces the sun as it dips into Capricorn. Okay, Capricorn is known as Father Time. You see the hands of the clock here, represented here by Leonardo da Vinci. Next to Capricorn, we have the Aquarius, which is holding this invisible water bearer, right? Aquarius, the water bearer. Now in the Bible, the personified allegory of the sun, Jesus claims, at the end of my age, which an age is a 2,150-year cycle, okay? Jesus was a personification, a representation of the sun through the age of Pisces. At the end of my age, at the end of the age of Pisces, follow me into the city, will you meet a man bearing water. Okay, that's Aquarius, the water bearer, which is the age of Aquarius we are currently in, the age of technology, information. So this information is out there. We don't live in the dark ages where we have to look up into the sun and into the stars to be able to see this information. Lastly, we have Pisces, the 2 fish, which is representation of the personification of the sun and Jesus' character in that time. The old man, of course, death and beginning again. So everything's back again and again and again and again, pointing his hands back to Aries, the head of the table, and his hands in that kind of fin fish. Okay, so Leonardo da Vinci knew exactly what he was doing when he painted this image. It's purposely 12 disciples, just as Joseph had his 12 brothers, Ra had his 12 disciples, Hercules had his 12 legions. Okay, this is a sun story that's told time and time again. And if we don't have this electricity that we have now, which we're in this age of Aquarius, we're in the age of technology and information. Okay, this is technology and information being shared with one another. Right? So without this technology and this information, we wouldn't be able to share this information. So the fact that this even exists right now, okay, now back in the day when we were moving from the age of Judaism, Aries, into the age of Pisces, individuals would write in the sand, like if they're passing each other, they would draw a little half arc. Okay, that half arc is the bottom of the fish, okay, the ichthus. And then if they didn't know what they were talking about, if the person just saw them draw an arc, it was, oh, whatever, I'm making sand art. But if they were a believer in the new age of Pisces, okay, because the sun stays in a sign for 2,150 years approximately, okay, that's one age, one era. And then when it moves around fully, it's 25,000 years. It's called a great year, or this is an earth wobble. And the camera just kind of wobbled as well. So an earth wobble, this is an astrological thing. These are giant clocks. Astrology is a giant clock. We get very confused by reading the back pages of Cosmopolitan or the Metro Times here in Detroit. And we get stuck in this sun sign conspiracy concepts of astrology, and like even on like Facebook groups, we just really diminish what this science really is. Okay, we follow the sun every single day. We follow the sun through the months, and while we follow the sun, we look up at these star clusters, and we've given these star clusters names. Now, even in the book of Genesis, let me see if I can pull this up. I believe it's Genesis 1:14. I didn't prepare for all this. Okay, and it is Genesis 1:4. Let there be lights in the dome of the sky to separate day from night, and let them be signs for the seasons and for days and years. Let them be lights in the dome of the sky to give light upon the earth. Okay, so this is in the very beginning of the Bible, which some people say it's basic instructions before leaving Earth. I don't know. Either way, it's kind of a fun way to look at it. So in the very beginning of the Bible, in the second page, it's telling us that the sun, the moon, the stars, these are meant to be viewed as days, weeks, years, and to use these as signs. Now, the only way that we can do that is by tracking the sun and looking at these star clusters as if we looked at our hands on a clock. Okay, and that's exactly what we do. And then we can even pull up, here, I'll pull up the astrology chart. And it's like, for Christians to be upset about this, okay, for Christians to be upset. Now, here's just the wheel of the zodiac: Aries, Taurus, Gemini, the two hands, Cancer, the hidden water sign, Leo, ego, Virgo. This is our Virgin, and how we, the Virgin Mother Earth, who gives birth to the sun in Pisces for 2,000 years. Okay, over here is Libra, the balancing scales. Here we have Scorpio, scorpion sting, the little stinger. It looks like a pair of lips kissed by Judas. Okay, then lastly, Sagittarius, again, across the way from Gemini, my personal information. Me, my I, my things, my information, my emotions, my ego, my services, my relationships with other people, my material possessions with other people, my creative endeavors, if you will. This is about my personal information, our information. This is about emotions. This is more dealing with business and reputation. And this is the star of the show, your personal ego. This is community, and again, our acts of service. And then Pisces could be our creativity. This is about faith, spirituality, belief. Okay, that's extremely important. So the Virgin Mother Earth gives birth to the rising sun for 2,150 years in a place of, well, okay, compassion, belief, forgiveness, spirituality. That's what Pisces represents. That's what the archetypal character Jesus represents while he was in the age, or while the sun was in Pisces. Okay, this is a personified allegory, not a real person that lived and walked this planet. So the reason I'm getting at this is because it's like, if Christians are offended because they're seeing a mockery of something, and when you looked at the opening ceremony, there was not 12 people. Okay, so right there, we can throw it out the window. There was a lot more than 12 people. And if we actually look at history, we know that where this derived from Greek and Romans, okay, and Dionysus. So we know that there's stories that were thousands of years before the story of Jesus, and yet Christians are coming out saying, I'm offended by the mockery of this, but not realizing that the Christians themselves are making a mockery of the zodiac. They're making a mockery of what God gave us. What God gave us is these perfect, beautiful signs and star clusters to be used, to be seen, and where we're moving and how we're moving forward. But we've replaced them with a story, right? And we say, there's, Jesus is moving through this area, and we call Saturn Satan, and then the little helpers in the sky, Venus is Lucifer, light bringer. And Venus is also the morning star and the evening star. I'll come back to this here, and it's like, this is not current. This is just a random chart I grabbed. But depending on the relationship, Venus here, the sun here, it'll be the evening star or the morning star, depending on its relationship of where it is with Earth every 9 months. So these stories of the morning star, the evening star, Lucifer, Satan, Saturn, okay, we're talking about planets, Jesus, the sun that lights the world, God, Jesus who sits in the clouds amongst God in the heavens, shining light. It's just like, we're talking about the sun, we're talking about the sun, and we have been making a mockery of sun worship, of appreciating and honoring the sun and nature that we live in, and we're just allowing the names that have been passed down and the storytelling that's been passed down to imprint us and to impact us now to believing the story and not believing the reality of the situation. Okay, so again, people are being offended about a mockery that they've already created a mockery out of, and personally are offending other people like myself. It's like a Christian will have no problem if I share this information. A Christian has no problem saying, I'm going to pray for you. I pray for my enemies. I literally had that happen to me yesterday, just a general conversation with somebody about this. And it's like, I'm not your enemy. But just by sharing an opposing view of yours, and it's like, we should be open to learn. We should be open to communicate with one another. And now I understand this is like the foundation and building blocks of our life. So if you've been raised, from a small child, and your parents told you, hey, you believe in Jesus and you walk this, and when you die, you're going to have eternal, everlasting life and whatnot. If you believe that story, you believe the Santa Claus story from when you were a little kid, that's locked into your brain for a long time. And then when Santa Claus story is ripped away and we say Santa's not real anymore, and it's like we can easily jump onto that, and we say, okay, and I understand our parents told us this, and it was a way to keep us controlled, conformed, keep peace. If you're bad things are going to happen. Santa's not going to bring you those good toys that you wanted. You're not going to be rewarded for your bad behavior. And then so we use the concept of Jesus the same way with Christians, with humans, and say, look, if you live a good life in light, right? If you want to walk in the light, you're going to do good things. You're not going to generally murder people, be gluttonous, sex, a predator in the daylight, in front of people, right? You're going to want to do those things in the shadows, in the dark. So all of the stuff about the light and shining and walking in the path, that's all just saying, like, be a good person and do things honorable that you would do in the daytime, not things that you would want to do deceitfully and deceive people and steal from people in the night and rob people and murder people in nighttime, or whatever it may be, in the shadows. So this is the sun. We're talking about the sun. And the sun has this beautiful journey through the heavens, the sky, through the cosmos. And we have drifted from this story. This is the only way. Look, you guys. This is Canaanites right here, Taurus, the age of Taurus. And then Moses here, in the age of Aries, and Moses came down with the stone tablets, and everyone's worshiping the golden calf. This is Taurus the bull. Everyone's worshiping the golden calf, and Moses, who represented Aries, the new age of Aries, made them destroy the golden calf because it was no longer the proper age. Not only did he make them destroy that, but he ordered everyone to murder each other, to murder everyone who was a non-believer in the new age. Okay, so then we have Judah. So the Canaanites became Israelites, Jews. Okay, the Canaanites believed in Els, many gods. Eloah, Elohim, Elyon, many gods. There was a God for everything. And if we look at what these gods are, it's the gods of contrast. When we look at our contrast and we look at energies that are beyond our physical, okay, something is holding all of this together. Kitty cat. I've got a little kitty in here right now. He's making some noise. Something is keeping all of this spinning, right? Now, there's a force, the force of the wind, the force of the river, the force of the heat, the force of the cold, force of the sea, the wonderful waves that come in, the force of the night, the force of the day, the force of fertility. These are energies that are beyond our awareness, okay? Now, these energies, these forces, the Canaanites, all of these things, these were gods, okay? These were gods. So each thing, you know, was the god of the wind and the god of thunder and the god of the sea, and we would bicker on which one was more powerful. But then they would say, well, there's one highest God, El, who sits most high, the God who sits most high, the God that's above all other gods. And this is the God we call the Creator, okay? Now, some call this Yahweh, but even then it's kind of debatable if Yahweh is the creator God or just another God of gods. Okay, there's a lot of mythology and things that we have to dive back into. At the end of the day, friends, we're talking about energies around us. Okay, we're not talking about a person that lived on this planet or a force that's on this planet that has hands and a body. You know, when we die, when this earth suit dies, we go on, and this earth suit doesn't come with us. And the Christian illusions of this eternal afterlife that you'll be walking with Jesus in the heavens. It's a complete lie. It's an absolute lie. And now, is there afterlife? Is there reincarnation? Well, most likely there's some sort of reincarnation, and we're just doing this again and again and again and again. And we already know scientifically that there's no matter cannot be destroyed or recreated. It just is, and it just existing and flowing. So we exist, existence exists, so this all exists. It's not some matrix thing. But this body will die, just like a flower or a tree or anything. This body will die. I won't have eternal existence in an afterlife, and that's not a sad thing. There's a cycle, right? Born again and again and again, just as our sun goes down and comes back up again. There's a born again. Anyway, we're drifting off this, but it's like Christians are already making a mockery of this. We have absolutely lost the foundation of what Christianity is all about, right? So the Jews, Aries, Christians, Pisces, us, we're at the dawning age of Aquarius, which is why things are so strange and so different. Now, Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, which Uranus right now is in Taurus. It's right over here on 20-some degrees of Taurus. If I put this here, let me make this today's date. What is today's date? Is it August 1st? Is it the 30th? July 30th? Yeah. There we go. So, I did 2020. Oh boy. What am I? Am I Biden? I'm going to beat Trump in 2020. There we go, 2024. Yeah, Uranus, Jupiter right here in Taurus. The sun. Why put in May? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Uranus is in Taurus, breakthroughs right now, and it's all about weird stuff, doing things weird and different, okay? Now, Uranus rules over the community aspects up here in Aquarius, and things are just simply different and weird now in society. Things are different and weird, and we're going to have to simply roll with them. And the Christians are freaking out because they're not going to keep a handle on things, okay? So if you're a Christian watching this, like, it's okay. This is the natural evolution of things, and we don't have to be sad that we're letting go of. And people like call me an antichrist, or again, they'll say that they'll pray for me in my blasphemous ways. But it's like, in reality, the blasphemy is taking the Lord's name in vain, right? You're claiming that your God, Jesus, is something that it's not. Okay, that is the lie. That is the lie that lives inside of Christians. That's the lie that they're spreading to other people. And this happened. Let me state this, is like, this happened for a good reason. Okay, let me come back to the zodiac for a second. I might have talked about this in the other video I put out. It's different than this, but I'll still share it. So when the Canaanites, everybody it was like, whatever. People just killed each other. There was a lot of blood sacrifices back in this time. And even here, we're still talking about pagans and Vikings during the age of Aries, okay? So even into the early ages of Christianity. So there was the many gods, Odin and Zeus and all these gods, okay? So not only when it went from the Canaanites and all the Els, but then there's still plenty of gods over here in this time of Judaism and the age of Aries. And to simplify, they tried to simplify in a monotheistic viewpoint of a singular God, the God of gods, instead of bickering about the God of wind versus the God of rain versus the God of war versus the God of love and the God of fertility, and who is the stronger God and which God reigns at which point in time. Okay, so we just say one God and all of these elements, all of these forces. So at this time, though, if you sinned, which was a natural thing, everybody quote unquote sins, which is another ridiculous concept. You can't technically sin. You can't do something against the will of the Creator when the Creator created you to do you and to be exactly how you are. That's like saying that the Creator, I'll come back for a second, that the Creator, it's like if this apple or the fruit story of Adam and Eve existed, if that was a real thing, which is a terrible, terrible story, and it's like, oh, God forgives, this is the Christian view, God forgives. And Christians are all about forgiveness. But it's like, no, God didn't forgive. God absolutely did not forgive the very first two humans that existed on this planet, if we believe in this ridiculous story, that a talking serpent gave a piece of fruit, which is often depicted as an apple, but nowhere in the Bible does it say it's an apple. So gave this woman this fruit from the tree of knowledge, and this talking snake gave it to her, and she ate it, and then she gave it to man. And now God, omnipotent God, who's also created an equal evil partner to create battles on earth over, and God created a slew of angels, invisible helpers, messengers, and demons as well, that he gave to his counterpart adversary. And this invisible battle happens over here that's going to be picking and fighting for you and how you walk life here on this planet. It's such an absurd concept. Okay, so this talking snake gave it to Eve, and then Adam ate it, and God said, okay, now for the rest of life, not only for the rest of your life, but the rest of all of humanity, you're going to feel pain in childbirth. You're going to feel embarrassed by your bodies instead of the rest of the animal kingdom that's not. This awareness that you have now, because you ate this apple, this awareness that you have now, that I am bestowing upon you, that I will not take away. You are like us now. It does say us in the Bible, which is kind of a fascinating term, but also Christians want to deny that. Also in the Bible, in Isaiah 48:11, it says, I create good and evil. I create light and dark. I, your Lord God, create all of these things. And it's also funny how Christians generally don't want to acknowledge that statement. Okay, this is a very potent thing. There is no devil. There is no Satan. That God there's the adversary to God. Okay, there is just the omnipotent creator. The omnipotent creator that creates all things. That's including children, cancer, leukemia, all diseases, all joy, love, all of it. That's all God. Okay, so now I'm gonna come back. Now in the age of Aries, we had blood sacrifices. If you wanted to get closer to God, or you wanted to get to Valhalla or heaven or whatever one belief you wanted to call it, you'd have to make a blood sacrifice if you sinned, and you'd have to slaughter a lamb or a goat or even a human being. Okay, so in the age of Pisces, when the sun passed over that 2,150-year cycle into the age of Pisces out of Aries, And this is when these Jews converted into Christianity, just like these Canaanites converted into Judaism, and the Judaism converted into Christianity, and now we're evolving but there's no dogma here. Okay, we no longer need the dogma story. We have the planets themselves. We have the sun. We call them what we call them now: Mercury, Venus, Mars, and Jupiter, and the sun and the moon and Earth. Okay, so we recognize all these as not as gods but as planets, these wanderers in the sky. And so we no longer have to create a blood sacrifice, because the story that we've created about Pisces and Jesus, the sun, Jesus being the sun, just as Hercules and his 12 legions, Joseph and his 12 brothers, Ra and his 12 disciples, Jesus and his 12 disciples, right? The sun and its 12 signs of the zodiac. That's why you always see a picture of Jesus with the sun behind it, behind its head, and it's a representation of the sun. So here we said, look, we cannot live anymore in this particular way of creating these blood sacrifices. We can't go on. This is an epidemic. This is a serious problem. So we're creating this story in the new age of Pisces. This is a gift to humanity, that God killed his only son so that you could survive, so that you are free and washed of your sins. That's a very potent, very powerful story. And I'm very happy and glad Christianity exists, and existed when it did, in order to deliver that message to get us here where we are now. However, this message of Christianity is no longer, I want to say, relevant in the age that we're in the age of Aquarius. Now, it's extremely important. I don't remember the exact quote or the exact verse of the Bible, but it says, excuse me, a little congested. Jesus says, "At the end of my age, follow me into the city where you meet a man bearing water. Follow him into his home, which is fully furnished." So important is if your house burnt down and you have a bunch of, or half burnt, and all your clothes are smelling like smoke, your television set, your whole armoire, everything is smelling like smoke from the fire. Look, we've got a house that's fully furnished. You need to bring nothing of your old world into this one. We need to bring nothing of your old faith into this, nothing of your old beliefs into this house. Okay. Now as well, we're talking about houses. These are houses. Okay. Each house. And then even so, it's like little town of Bethlehem, house of bread, Bethlehem. This is Virgo, okay? This is a harvest season. This is where we get bread from. So over here is when we're planting our food. Here, this is when we harvest our wheat and our crops. So here is wheat and bread and crops. Over here is spirituality and belief. Okay, now the zodiac is completely flipped. So this is technically the south. This is the north. So when the sun, right here, look at this. When the sun hits, one more. This highest point, this is the summer solstice. Okay, that's the summer solstice. And then the sun descends down. Let's go back here. Let's go all the way. Let's see. Let's do it each month. I mean, we're just talking here at this point. So if you're following along, cool. Send this to somebody, if they like it, send it to somebody. All right, let's go one more day ahead. So here we go. The sun. Jesus is born. The scapegoat in Capricorn, the scapegoat of Israel. Okay. Now the sun, of course, had to die here on Sagittarius, the center of 3 crosses in the zodiac. This is the cardinal cross. Then here is the mutable cross, which is Sagittarius, Gemini, Pisces, and Virgo. Then there's the fixed cross, which is Scorpio, Taurus, Leo, and Aquarius. Now, the fixed cross is also known as a cherubim, okay, the 4-headed winged beast in the Bible, the head of a man, the head of a lion, the head of a bull, and the head of a serpent or a snake. Sometimes it's like an eagle. Okay, so that's like the 3 archetypes of Scorpio. So the sun dies on the center of 3 crosses. For 3 days, walks like a crab sideways, same as what happens here in the summer solstice, walks sideways like a crab for 3 days, hence our crab 6'9", and then rises 1 degree north. So the sun is born here, the scapegoat of Israel. Then the sun moves into Aquarius. This is John the Baptist. John the Baptist is the Aquarius. Then Jesus meets the 2 fishermen brothers. This is Pisces, the 2 fish. Then Jesus passes over the equator. This is Passover. Easter, same thing. Okay, and they're a week apart just to separate so they don't confuse the religions. And they lied to you, my friends. They lied to you. They lied to you just to keep it separate. Got to follow the sun. S-U-N, that lights the world. So the sun that lights the world moves out of Pisces into Aries. Aries is about self, learning about ourselves. Jesus learns about himself. Then in the Bible, Jesus then becomes a carpenter and plows the fields. Okay, this is Taurus energy. Then at the age of 30, the third house in the zodiac, 1, 2, 3, as you see it right there, the third house of the zodiac, Gemini is about communication. Jesus becomes a teacher. All right. Then at the age of 33, it takes about 2.5 years. 33, this is also your Saturn return. When you're 30, you have your Saturn return. So that's another big cycle clock in the sky. It takes about 2.5, 3 years for Saturn to move through a sign. Then when it does that, as you see here, the sun now, again, this is the north. So now the sun begins its ascent down. So from December 25th, all the way till June 21st, the sun is at a rise, rise, rise. Then the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, the sun just doesn't seem to really move for those 3 days, same as here, but it doesn't really move at its height, and then begins to descend down. Okay? Then the sun is Jesus, the story of Jesus is caught in the desert, for 40 days or whatever it may be, the long sign of Leo, and tempted by the devil. All right, and then we have the Virgo and Libra. Okay, this is the judgment that's happening to the story of Jesus. Then the sun. Oops, I went too far. Then the sun. Oh, I see. Then the sun moves into Scorpio, and this is the betrayal of Judas, which again, this is meant to be God. This is all a part of quote unquote God's plan. You know what I mean? Like there was no betrayal. That's why it's like you can't sin necessarily, and if you're morally doing something wrong. Like if you stab somebody just for like out of the blue, it's like, yeah, that's not right. You shouldn't do that. And there's consequences to it. So like we know when we're doing something right or wrong, and we sometimes do the wrong thing anyway. We let we feed the wrong wolf, if you will, and then we feel it. There's karma, or we learn it from a different aspect or a different way that we don't want to do that again. So there's the betrayal of Judas. If you've ever seen a scorpion sting, it looks like a pair of lips. And then, of course, the betrayal. Oops, I'm in days again. Of course, the betrayal then of Pontius Pilate comes from high water. Scorpio water energy. Pontius Pilate comes from high water, armed with spear. The Sagittarius spear. The prophet, of course, then boom, the sun dies again and is reborn on December 25th. So the sun is reborn again and again and again and again. And the sun is born each day and dies each day and is baptized into the waters and then rises again and baptized into the waters. Okay, so this is storytelling. This is us not having televisions, not having the internet, not having books to read, and we're sitting here looking up at the night sky and we're watching these star clusters that don't move, and then the little wanderers that we call planets move. And we just simply made names for those wandering planets. We made a name for the sun. We made a name for the moon. Oh yeah, I'll talk about this too. So again, this is the south, this is the north, this is the left, this is the right. Okay, so the left brain, right brain. Virgo represents the left brain, Pisces represents the right brain. So over here, in the Bible it says, if your left hand sins, cut it off. If your left eye sins, pluck it out. Over here it says, if you want to catch fish, Jesus says, cast your net to the right. Now, it's pretty insane to think that you're going to just only catch fish out of the right side of your boat, right? That you wouldn't be able to cast out of the left. But we see here that we're not talking about an actual boat. We're talking about the right brain versus left brain. And in my left brain, I might want to say, you did me dirty. You've done something that I don't agree with. So I'm going to cut you out of life. Okay? And the whole message of Pisces and the 2,150 years of the sun rising in Pisces was about forgiveness, about compassion. It's understanding that I've done the same things that I'm mad at you for. I've done the same things myself to somebody else, to a lesser or a greater degree, right? I've been upset by people doing things to me that I've definitely done to somebody else in a much worse way and a lighter way. And it's just like, okay, when this happens, it's like, ooh, the little reflection, the mirror comes back on. Oh, okay, Aaron. Okay, check yourself, right? This is our observation. So it's just like, again, moving to the right brain of compassion, moving to the forgiveness. Doesn't mean it should be walked on all the time, but we should not necessarily be like super cut off and cold and judgmental. But now again, the script has flipped to where we're dealing with our shadow. Our shadow is not the left brain. Our shadow would be ego. Okay. And then we have community here where the sun is shining for the next 2,135 years or whatever it may be. So it's like, this is about community and our egos right now. We can see our egos are run rampant right now, that we don't know what we value. We're being so manipulated by media. We're being so manipulated by the news that you have to seriously unplug yourself and unidentify with the entire world to go on an existential discovery to figure out who you are, what you're doing, and what the world is. And that dismantling, that existential dismantling into the aspects of discovery is extremely frightening. And so if you're a Christian that's watching this and that's actually wanting to learn, instead of just watching this to comment and prove me wrong, I don't really, whatever, pray for me. I don't care. It's never going to happen. But anyway, if you're actually watching this to try to learn, thank you. And this is so valuable, because this is the real history. This is really where we're at. This is really where we're going. And it's important that we do this as a community together. We don't have to hate each other. We don't have to say that my God is better than your God, that my way of religion is better than your way of religion. And especially when it comes between Judaism, Christianity, and Islam faith, it's like, these are the Abrahamic religions. Abraham, Abba, Ram, Father, Ram, okay? Judaism, they all derived from Judaism. They didn't derive from the multifaceted gods of the Canaanites and the Els. So they said, no, one monotheistic God. So this is where we're at. We still believe in this one monotheistic God, and we have to be able to understand the roots and origins of why these three religions are created together, the arc that connects them together, and how we are still connected to this day, and for what reasons and why. The sun is now in the age of Aquarius, where a lot of information is out there. We don't have to be held back. We are allowed to. If anything, this is the fruit. This information that I'm sharing with you is the fruit of the tree of knowledge. We are supposed to, and this is my firm belief in the Bible, we are supposed to eat that fruit. We are supposed to learn this knowledge. And the reason being is we are free thinkers. You're not supposed to just listen to what some other voice is telling you to do. You have to be able to determine on yourself. It's like, if they're like, oh no, trees are super sacred, don't ever do a thing with trees are super sacred. But at the same time, a human being can look at that tree and manipulate it into a boat and sail the seas. You can manipulate it into a violin and play a beautiful song, or a piano, or you can create a home. So if we're just listening to somebody else, you can't do that. And that's where we're at. Is are we just listening to somebody else? Even me, fact check everything I'm saying. Please do leave comments if you think I've screwed something up. I like to learn, right? If I'm wrong, that means I've learned something. So in this sense, I hope we all can take a moment and learn, or whoever, I don't know, whoever's going to come across this thing. But the Olympic Games were definitely not a mockery of Christianity. Christianity is definitely a mockery of the origins of the story of the sun and humanity, and the mother goosery stories that is Christianity nowadays. And they're trying to hold us back. Christians are trying to hold us back from evolving, which is not right. We need to be able to evolve naturally with nature, with our planet. And it's this stuff is going to dissolve. I don't think there's a person on this planet that believes in Hercules right now that's just like, oh no, Hercules existed. Hercules walked this earth, and I love Hercules. Christianity and Jesus is going to be the same. It's just going to take a little bit of a time for us to unbrainwash ourselves, for us to get out of this rut, out of this stuck, and then it's just like the power in numbers. Oh, if you don't believe in this, and then of course AA and things like that. I'm just ranting at this point. AA, it's like if you want to help somebody get out of alcohol, it's like we're using the manipulation tactics of God and Jesus to help a person out. That's wrong. That's so very, very, very wrong. The Christians that are saying, the Roe versus Wade thing, that, oh, you can't have control or rights over your body because my personal faith. It's like in Christianity, your personal faith, your God killed its only son at 33 years old. What jurisdiction does a Christian possibly have over another human being's body, right? That's my favorite comeback. Anytime anyone has ever said anything about, abortion control or something, and they're a Christian. Well, I believe in Christianity, and you're killing. But it's like, well, God killed his only son at 33. What do you possibly have to say to counter that? Nothing. All right. Now I know, again, that's not a real story, and the son that died at 33 is simply, well, all right. Let's talk about it even more here. What is that? What is the son that died at 33? Not only are we talking about the SUN here, but there's 33 vertebrae in the spine. Okay, it's well-known fact that we have this sacred oil that lives at the base of our spine. This is our creative energy, our sexual energy, and through meditation, through breath work, through yoga, through many different practices, Qigong, Kundalini, Tai Chi, many different practices, Tantra, sex, you can raise this energy up the 33 vertebrae of your spine and anoint the crown, anoint your pineal gland with this sacred oil. Okay, this is Christ consciousness, Godhead, or Buddhahead. So raising up this oil, 33 vertebrae up the spine, the caduceus that climbs the spine, which you see that caduceus on every emergency vehicle in the United States. I believe every ambulance has the caduceus. It's like the staff with the serpents going up. Okay, that's a representation of our spinal cord. Our spinal cord and the energy moving up through the seven chakras and connecting here at our pineal gland. Now, in Jesus' story, he says, see with one eye. Much of the teachings of Jesus himself, again, we're talking about the sun, is seeing with one eye. So it's closing our two blind eyes. Same as in India, the coconut is like a sacred fruit because it's got two blind eyes. Those two eyes, you can't tap into them to the fruit. You have to tap into the middle third eye, and this is how you get to the coconut. This is how you get to the sweet juice, the nutrients, okay? So this is the same for us human beings. We have to tap into the sacred third eye here. We have to close our eyes and close off to what the rest of the world is saying. We have to go within. So my friends, go within. Raise your sweet oil up and connect with yourself. Yeah, that's all I got. So it's all good. Hopefully everybody calms down about this, Olympic ridiculousness and just enjoys the games as they are. Cheers, friends. We'll see you next time.